Oh, hello, everybody. Here we are today at the EDUardo Expert Talks, and as usual, I'm not alone. I'm together with Johan Strömberg from Wonderword and Fabella. And
Hello.
As always, I'm Peter from EDUardo, but today the story is not about us. It's about Johan, his team, and also the solution, which is voice-controlled technology used in various industries. And I will ask for a general introduction, but after that we will go to the main topic, is that the how to use these things in education. So Johan, again, thank you for accepting the invitation. And
My pleasure.
can you please introduce yourself, tell something about your background and also about your company?
Yes, thank you very much. So, my name is Johan Strömberg. I am from Stockholm, Sweden. I've been in the startup industry and the software as a services for about 16 years. Previous to that, I was in big American companies like Microsoft and Arthur Andersen. So my background is finance, and eventually drifted into the much fun area of business development, sales, and leadership. And that's where I've been, like I said, for the last 16 years. Started off in the game engine industry, where we sold the company eventually, and then had the possibility to invest in other software service companies, and been doing co-funding and investment for the last 15 years, I believe, then. And also been part of producing a platform for children in the ages of or classes of 6 to 9, creating platforms where they can learn school more interactively with interactivity and videos and stuff like that. So learning is something I really love, and behaviorism is something that I've also studied a lot. So that's my background again. Yeah, so the company Wonderword, I was involved with, invested in it from the beginning, and actually came in here during the pandemic, for 2 days a week with the engine to get that started. And Fabella, it's called today. And I've been CEO of the company. I am now focusing on business development and on selling Fabella worldwide. So Wonderword in general, we're a company that works with voice interactivity. It started off with our founder Peter doing voice interactive solutions on the PC. One of the first was actually follow the footsteps of Jack the Ripper in London, going with the GPS and following where he had been, presumably. And then the big companies like Alexa came along, and Google Assistant, and enabled it on more platforms. The problem was that every platform had their own development platform. So if you wanted to do one for Alexa, you needed to develop it there, and for Google, you needed to develop there. And so, as you can hear, that's not economical feasible. So we started our own project about 3 years ago, developing Fabella. And now Fabella can be used on Google Assistant, Alexa, the web, smartphones, soon on cars, and also on one of the bigger consoles as well, gaming consoles and other areas. So, and also Discord and the WhatsApp and so forth. So develop once, release everywhere, and use your voice. That's more or less the background.
Yes, and I can tell the audience that whenever we talk, there is always a new project and a new use case you are talking about. And I will definitely come back to some of these examples. But also when we prepared for this discussion, you suggested that maybe the best is to have a quick look at one of your videos, kind of an introduction.
Yes, yes.
So shall we start with this one then?
Yeah, why not?
We are Wonderword, storytellers who make interactive audio experiences that you control with your voice. Heads-up, hands-free entertainment. And the world's best tool for creating such content is one that we made. It's called Fabella, a no-code, node-based editor that's easy to use for beginners and a powerhouse for the pros. With Fabella, you can build everything from fun, simple quizzes to epic audio adventures with immersive soundscapes. And you can publish to smart speakers, mobile devices, and a web player that works in a standard browser.
Welcome back to the Bard's Tale. You're standing at the entrance to the dungeon. Explore the dungeon.
There are tunnels leading north and west.
Head out west.
In the corner, there's a dust-covered trunk.
Look in the trunk.
You open the trunk. You find 5 gold coins and a written warning.
Take the 5 gold.
The monster appears and challenges you.
Fight.
Defeated, the monster becomes a handsome bard. He thinks you're beautiful and wishes to play you a song. Do you want to talk to the bard?
Talk to the bard.
Another powerful Fabella feature is that voice interactions can be triggered by geolocation.
It looks like you're driving past the church town of Gamelstad, a UNESCO heritage site.
What can you tell me about the church town?
The remarkable church town of Gamelstad is the best preserved example of a church village, a unique type of settlement once found throughout northern Scandinavia.
Are there any restaurants nearby?
There's a restaurant just across the road from the site.
All this and much more is being produced in Fabella today. Audio games, interactive audiobooks, interactive podcasts, whatever the use case may be, Fabella will be driving the future of interactive audio.
Yes, so that more or less showed how you can be using voice in different ways. It's actually good for many reasons. One, as you saw here, you can walk around, you can do other things simultaneously. You can drive safely, you can do other things, and you can be blind, not even seeing, and we can include people. That's really one of the most heartwarming parts of it. And we're going to be focusing today on how you actually use it in education and why that is an interesting part. And you were one of the first one to start using it, Peter. So it was really fun start working with you guys and to see how you can actually use voice. Many try or prefer to use the term of simulation, so discussion simulations of some sort. And we've used it in flight control trainings where the flight control attendants needs to be saying things in a very, very certain way. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Whereas in most trainings, it's more normal to be able to be a little bit polite and say it in different ways. And one important aspect of Fabella is that it can handle both scenarios. So you can decide as developer of the game to decide which one it should be.
And just before going into our joint case,
Yep.
I recall from the video that there was a lady in the car and giving instructions. And
Yep.
how different then is this as, for example, Siri or Alexa or somebody which is otherwise available in the car?
So I would say the relationship with Siri is rather shallow. If you want to compare it with some other relationship you have, you're welcome. But it's so shallow that you more or less say start and stop, right? So you can open any app you have in your phone, more or less, and that's it. Then you can't do anymore. So voice-enabled interactions is when you dig deeper. The app is opened or gets opened, and then you keep on talking and investigating, ask questions. And the fun and very good thing about voice is that you can more or less ask questions anywhere in the process. You don't have to go from a point A to B and be in the process all the time. You can say, for example, that if you're cooking, doing a recipe, you're doing an interactive voice-controlled recipe, you can say, okay, oh, sorry, I forgot. What's the temperature of the oven? And it's not following a process. You just forgot. So you're asking a question anywhere in the process, and all of a sudden it picks it up because it listens to oven temperature, and that triggers a global answer. So that's really remarkable. And that's the way we're working in the car industry now, and they're picking up really, really importantly on this, because imagine you're sitting in a car and you're just asking, so what's the tire pressure? You don't have to go in on the index looking for external tires and pressure. You just ask the question like you would a friend.
And of course, a little bit about the technology. As we use it, I remember that there are different options, and you have a newer version. But that was totally new for me because I'm not expert in this field. Can you explain it just like for for the general audience how this works? I mean, the language models. What's behind?
Yes, I would love to. We call it, one is legacy and one is natural language understanding. The legacy part is what I described in when you, as a flight controller, need to say alpha and beta and Charlie, and it would be wrong if you said alpha please or if you said Alfred. So that's the legacy type, where it needs to be exactly the right thing, and sometimes that's really important. Whereas in the many types, it's we did a talking coffee machine where you could order your coffee with your voice, and we also did a concierge service where you go to a reception and you register yourself to the company with your voice, and you send an email to the person you're meeting there and ask questions and so forth. And there, it's better to have a more open type of solution where you say, if I say hello, or if I say hi, or if I say nice to meet you, or if I add, for example, if I add a coffee saying I want a cappuccino, please. The please doesn't ruin the whole thing. It's just a word that it's not important. So you try to go in and list the words that are acceptable as triggers. In this case, it would be coffee. In this case, it could be registering at the company. It could be Wi-Fi, or it could be internet, or it could be digital solution, whatever, and that's accepted, and it would be prompted for that. So you're making it easier for the machine to understand you and making it more comfortable talking with it.
Yes, and now I can refer back to our joint case because what we liked is that even right now in one of our simulations we have an interview, but so far the interview looked that you have certain questions from a virtual person, and you tick the questions, and if you submit it, then you got an answer for that. And that how beautiful it would be to have like an open conversation. So we define the questions in the background, and we define the keywords with many alternatives, and then you have a kind of an illusion of having an open talk with the person. Of course, the answers are preset, so it's not AI, but it gives like a illusion of having an interview. And I can just quickly also show it. Just a minute.
Yeah, and I remember that when we talked about and built it, it's so much fluent and natural, and you get a better training with it when you actually have to talk yourself. In this case, the first one we made, we said that you wanted to ask the person about a few questions, and you had the possibility.
This one I like to show just quickly.
You are about to start your interview. Let me introduce you Kate Vaylor. She is happy to tell a few words about her.
I'm speeding up a little bit.
Hello, I am Kate. Let me tell you a few words about myself.
So we got an introduction. It's nothing special. It's like playing a video. We can stop it anytime. The interesting thing comes when we go to the questions. I just go there.
You can either use your microphone or your keyboard for the questions. If you wish to finish the interview, just say finish during the interview.
Okay, and I can put, here are some I used earlier, like what is the salary expectation?
Well, I would be satisfied with something between 2,000 and 2,500 a month.
Or I can ask, what is, who's an ideal boss for you?
An ideal manager can provide a pleasant and safe atmosphere for work. Focuses on individuals during work. Can inspire, create goals and inspire people to reach these goals. I think a good manager is impartial and unbiased and has no favorites.
Okay, so this was just a quick example. And we really like the way it could be put together in a no-code environment and modify it. Of course, there are endless opportunities of using that, and we also think about how this could help in education. But based on your research and the feedback from other users, where do you think the voice control has a place in this educational sector or universe?
Well, it has a role in many areas, both in education and in e-learning. Example for kids and for students, you can use the platform to actually learn a new subject, and by building it, you learn. On the other hand, if you're doing an e-learning, you could actually speak to it, and by speaking, you would learn more than you would if you just pushed a button. Like we just had the example now with the interview and the flight controls and all different kinds of conversational simulation, where the conversation itself is important. Like, for example, if you're working for a 911 switchboard and you can then train for a situation that is coming up, you can actually record them into Fabella, and then you'll have to answer the right action to that scenario, and that's a lot more useful than having multiple choice and the three buttons to push, right? So many scenarios are better with voice and sound.
Yes, but of course there are cases. For example, even in my example, I was not using the voice control because we are activated the microphone, and then it could contradict to each other. It's useful when you are alone, when you are in a silent environment. It also sets the limits, so we can openly talk about. For example, you have the museum application. In a museum, it would be weird that everybody just talks to the phone. Instead, you have controls, but you can listen the answers.
Yeah, and I think there are more scenarios. We have a game called The Bard's Tale, which you saw an example of. We realized that we needed to be able to have buttons because kill him is not the thing you want to scream on the bus. And there are more examples like that. So the option of using buttons is still very valid in many scenarios. And you mentioned the museum. In the museum, they just said, let's turn it off. We don't even want it there. In other scenarios, it could be that it's too noisy. Like, for example, the coffee machine. But then today you can actually work with a lot of noise reduction. So it's still feasible to do. But it's not just heaven to work with voice. There are scenarios where it doesn't fit.
Yes, but I think we shouldn't look at voice control as a standalone case. It's more important that it could be fit to other solutions. And when they come, then we can be ready to put that together. And I can tell that a great example is the ChatGPT or OpenAI things. When we started to talk first time last year, it was not on our table. I mean, on nobody's table. But when we again talked in January, I remember I asked you that, can we put it together somehow? Because ChatGPT and OpenAI chat is so great, but what if I can hear it and I can talk to it? And your team just made it available really fast. And we can even show it. Okay, we will not talk again to the bot, but let me show you this example.
Yeah, and I think when we did that, we more or less showed that 1 + 1 can become 3, because if you put the layer on something on top of the bot, or in this case, you can actually ask a better question than you could previously.
Okay, so Johan, just think about the question. Okay, I just started, and we will type it.
Hello, human. I am here to answer your professional questions. Okay. What would you like to ask me?
What is happiness?
Happiness is a feeling of contentment, joy, and satisfaction. It is a state of mind that comes from within and is not dependent on external factors. Happiness is a choice and can be cultivated through intentional activities such as spending time with loved ones, engaging in meaningful activities, and practicing gratitude and mindfulness.
I think it was a great example and great topic. Thank you for the idea for that. So in this way, the conversation with the bot is totally different. And imagine that you can even talk. So we experimented it. Any kind of full sentences could be understood. Okay, be careful with having breaks in the talk, because then it thinks you finished, but you got used to it. And I think this will come very much in many formats in the future, because I mean, linking Siri or Alexa to OpenAI, everybody will do it quite soon, or Microsoft and Apple will do it, or Google will do it. So no question. But the interesting thing comes when we don't let the user to have open questions. Sometimes if you have an open question, okay, what to ask, what is the question, but
Yeah.
to make prompts and to help them to collect information. We are not going to show it now, but you have a story example when you make a fairy tale. Can you tell a few words about it, what you do in the technology in that case?
Yeah, so just the example, the problem you describe is very normal, is that when you are put in front of somebody and asked, so would you like to tell a story, or what would you like to know? People freeze and don't know what to say. So in this case, Fabella can help with asking questions first and say, okay, would you like to tell a story? Would you ask a question? Do you want to draw a picture? And in this case, if they ask to tell a story, you have follow-up questions saying, okay, what type of story would you like to learn? Do you want it to be a pirate story, a children's story about a little kid with a wolf, or whatever? And then in the next step, if you then choose to do a pirate story, you can say, okay, what should be the name of the captain, and what should be his favorite color, and where does he like to be? And all of a sudden you've asked these questions, and that could be used in the prompt to ask the question to OpenAI, in this case, and the Da Vinci, and then go back and say a better question can be asked, and therefore you get a better answer in the story. So in this case, the person will be telling a story about the black beard captain in the Mediterranean, and doing a quest for finding his wife. And you wouldn't have gotten that story if you just started off yourself, because usually your fantasy is not that big when you just start getting an open-ended question.
Yeah, and exactly this we can use and we plan to use in education. So if you have a course, there are typically few focus topics which would require an experiment. For example, if it's about making a strategy for an enterprise, imagine like defining a mission statement, or a kind of a concentrated strategic statement. And first you ask the user to tell the little elements that you then collect, give the prompt to OpenAI, and it then gives back with an oral response of that prompt. So that will be really valuable in the near future.
And if you think about it in real life, if you have a consultant that is really good at something, they don't give you an answer right away. They ask more questions, and when they have more answers to their questions, then they can give you an advice. It's the same thing with this. If you just ask a question straight away, you probably get the wrong answer. So I encourage to put something on top of it in order for the users.
We definitely, we already work on it, and there are more and more in the EDUardo platform. And what do you see? What do you predict in the market with the technology? So voice-controlled technology evolved, and it's still evolving. What are the new areas where we'll face it entering?
In general, I see, utilities and things in your house to be something that is developing. Today, you can more or less just add some groceries to your grocery list, and you can turn on the lights. But I think that will grow a lot, that you would turn on the washing machine, or you could start the vacuum cleaner robot, or you can do other stuff with your voice. But also when it comes to new areas of, like you said, with education, and we're now seeing that you could control, for example, things in the car and things like that. So I think we're just scratching the surface now where voice can be used. We use voice for many things during the day, talking to our colleagues, and in the future, I believe we can ask questions and get answered just like you would asking a friend, because a lot of people don't have all the knowledge, but the computer could have. At the moment, we're just calibrating because AI is not good enough yet to answer all the questions. But as we know, the search of Bing or Google or whatever Yahoo you used, it's been better and better over the years. So I'm looking forward to getting better answers of the questions with AI and OpenAI.
Thank you. And also, if those who are live with us and you have a question, just please put it here, and we can answer that. And I already showed your website, so if somebody wants to explore it, can do that. And also, if you are interested in the EDUardo website, it's here on the screen. But there is another announcement, because I mean, if somebody is in UK, London, they can meet us next week together, John, because you will be together in London in BET 2023. It's an educational technology fair. So I encourage that if you listen this and you are interested in, come over. Be NC 61, if I tell by heart well, the stand, and you will join us for Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Looking
we will
forward to
demonstrate
it.
these things and answer the direct questions. Yes, we just got a question. I just read it up. So, Johan, is your focus currently more on the technology as a service or content?
Good question. So we are focusing at the moment on the platform, but in order for people to understand what you can use it for, then you need to build examples. At the moment, I believe we have around 20 different examples on how you can use Fabella, anything from games, education, to e-learning, and also orienteering, or whatever you want to do, going out in the woods. So there's plenty now. So we're now shifting the focus towards the platform sales and less content. But there are content around the corner. The IPs are huge, so we're hoping to release that soon.
Okay. Thank you very much. And what I can add is that there is always an interaction, and that's what I experimented personally with the Fabella team. And when there was a question, you and your team really quickly answered that and reacted, and even your answers triggered new ideas. Oh, we could do that one. I think we were not yet touching the different languages, because none of us is mother tongue English, but we talk in English, and most of these technologies are in English, but you handle other languages, well, right?
Yes, so we are using other voice providers, and there are plenty of voice solutions out there that we can integrate. Languages are 100-folds of English and 100-folds of the bigger languages. Swedish is not so many, and smaller languages accompanying that are smaller as well, but they're coming more and more, and they're getting a lot better and better. There are services today where you can actually record about 20 minutes of your voice, and you will have it a synthetic solution. It costs a lot.
Yeah, but the listening part is English, French, German, Spanish,
the
Chinese.
bigger languages, yes. Yes, there are around that. So it also depends on what solution provider you're using. So if you're doing for smartphone, there Alexa has their own ASR and NLU, and the phones are a little bit more that you can use whatever. If you go for the cars, they have certain ones as well. So it's different for different platforms, but they're getting better and better as well. So there's no excuse to wait for it. It's just starting to get to know it and learn it and see how you can use it.
Yes, and I really like the fact that there are the sounds. So when it's the text to voice, let's say, then you make it available, all like the Microsoft ones, the Apple ones, or the Google ones. I even don't know which are, but in some cases there is even a mood in the voice and different styles. So you can select for hundreds of English voices, I think.
Yeah, and there's more to come. And you can also record your own or somebody else's. And there's a beautiful company in Ukraine I need to talk about because of the situation they're in. They're called Respeecher, and they was used in doing The Mandalorian. So one person can be the actor of 30, 40 different voices. So that's really cool.
So they have to create unique voices with.
They have
based on
60 different voices, and you can be the actor of it. And they're even coming up with other sounds soon. Like if you say woof, it will be a real dog barking instead. So there are more cool things coming from them. They're just awesome.
So Johan, thank you very much for being here today. Is there anything which I forgot to ask or you want to tell?
No, I think that's about it. I think people should go in and play around with it and do a short quiz, which we have a template for, and just play around with voice. It's so much fun. And do an interactive podcast of something that you've seen on the web and play around with it. You send an email to your friends with guess the year or whatever. This is going to be the future, and it's so fun to do. So why not learn it right away?
Yeah, and also expect these technologies to be available in EDUardo. Right now, it's available. This bot we talked to called Edward is also using this technology. So thank you, Johan. It was great that we talked today, and thank you for the audience. Bye.
Thank you.